want to talk about this new book. So Young's Time, you said obviously it's available now. And of course, there's a lot that goes into writing autobiography, and you've had this very wild wrestling journey from being a fan to being there in the later days of WCW and then during WWE as well. But I'm sure, writing this book has been a really personal experience for you. You've got to kind of really go back, haven't you, into some quite heavy places when you write an autobiography. I heard you said in an interview recently that you talked a lot about the challenges you faced in your childhood and how you grew up on food stamps and ramen noodles. What was it like for you to revisit some of those earliest times in your life?
Yeah, so writing this book, I thought it'd be a good project to do, so that's how I started putting pen to paper probably about 15 years ago.
Wow.
And then I finished it and I realized I have a lot of trauma, so I was like, oh my God, I didn't, I still have a lot of anger about my childhood, so it was kind of like therapy for me, but realizing, to me, I never, I don't look in the past, I just kind of move forward. But revisiting the past, I was like, golly, I had a pretty rough journey, and I think I still have some issues I have to work out, so yeah.
Well, we all do. I mean, going through childhood and adolescence and everything, it's not easy for anyone. But I mean, it did sound like you had, a pretty tough upbringing in many regards.
Yeah, and even that when you're a kid, you don't realize, you just think it's normal as a kid, this is life. But then when I become an adult, then I look back on my situations and, my dad left when I was like 9 and he left I have three sisters and one brother. He left all of us for his new wife, so I didn't, and I don't remember the last time I talked to him. I was like, it's kind of, whatever, and then,
Yeah.
my mom is in she's a diehard Jehovah Witness. Like she's like hardcore. Like she's every Saturday knocking on people's doors and telling them that they're living their life wrong. And growing up with that in that religion, we didn't have birthdays or they didn't celebrate holidays. So it's like I didn't understand it, but being a kid and when your birthday comes around, everybody's wishing you happy birthday, and then when they ask to say, hey, so what are your parents going to get you for your birthday? And then it's like the awkwardness and yeah, my parents don't celebrate birthdays, I'm like, and then the question is, why, it's like, I don't know, that they don't appreciate the day that you was brought into this world. It just didn't make sense to me. So but getting, that was childhood and you thought that was normal because you kind of believe everything your parents tell you when you're a kid, but then getting older, I'm like, wow, they're really horrible people, so it's like, kind of crazy,
Quite hard to kind of go through that again. Obviously, you said it's taken you quite a few years to work through this book because you've got to go back to some quite hard places, haven't you, in that process?
Yeah, for sure. Like that's the thing. I grew up on ramen and food stamps. What's your favorite ramen, Ben? You like ramen over there?
Yeah, I'll have a nice chicken ramen or something if I can. Yeah.
Yeah, like a 10-cent package, yeah,
we had a lot of super noodles. That was what we had over here. They're probably very similar. So kind of a dry noodle that you put in the microwave for 30 seconds. And yeah, I used to love those.
Yeah, 2 minutes for the ramen here.